On today's show, got big surprises from the opening weekend of the Championship. West Ham throw away a 2-goal lead, and the team I backed to finish bottom wins at home. Hello guys, welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled in association with Betfred. I'm joined today, Benjamin Bloom here as always, and Ollie Man. We've got so much to talk about, guys. The opening weekend of the Championship was just superb. Should we start with Sunday's games? And we start Burnley 2, West Ham 2. Big comeback, Ben, from Burnley late on. Zian Fleming. Superb. What did you make of it in general?
Well, first of all, I know I'm biased, but I totally agree. How good was the Championship this weekend?
All the results we predicted and thought would happen didn't happen. So many surprises, so many shocks, and that's why we love it.
Sometimes I get annoyed when people say that a team throws a lead away when it goes 2-0 to 2-2, but you are actually right. This was very nuanced, wasn't it? Because, I mean, they hit the post and there's one cleared off the line at 1-0. And it felt like Solomon's goal was a bit against the run of play. And we have said in some of the build-up shows, Simon, that Nuno will be conservative. And I thought we might be sat here, set play, goal against the run of play, clean sheet, away go West Ham. But impressed by Burnley. I know the West Ham fans are a bit vexed by this. But don't forget, this is a year one parachute team away from home that West Ham have already ticked off that fixture. But the conversation, as you set up very nicely in your hyperbolic intro, Simon, was, did Nuno get it wrong in the second half tactically?
Can I throw that over to Ollie Man?
Yeah, I mean, Burnley came on so strong, didn't they? As soon as they came out for the second half, they were just dominant in terms of this game. Like
so Pablo went out at half-time and Nuno said that was through injury, though.
Yes.
And Ward-Prowse came on, right?
Yeah, it's
That's not a bad sub, though, is it?
No.
It's a hell of a lot of Championship experience there coming in, a really talented footballer. But I think what it did is it took away a little bit of fear factor for Burnley. They know what Ward-Prowse is good at. We all do. He's fantastic with his delivery. It's great sort of in terms of his leadership, but he's not got that same energy. He's not going to be able to really hurt Burnley in the way that they were in the first half, trying to get up quickly, trying to get in behind the defence. And so Burnley just applied that pressure, constantly coming forward. It felt as though West Ham were really struggling for a way out. And that second goal doesn't just come against the sort of run of play. It's a fantastic run from Kone.
Brilliant.
He gets down that right, brings it to the byline. Does it go out? Absolutely, it does not. Gets it across. And so West Ham from that point should have been comfortable. We talk about Nuno being conservative. I thought they would just sit in, take the 2-0, vintage away performance. I was sort of typing in group chats. I'm sat there and I'm saying, you know what? This is exactly what you need. One of the hardest away games you're going to have all season, and all of a sudden you've got through it, poor performance, you've won it on individual quality. What more do you need? But Burnley are better than that. Is it 35 games I think they're now unbeaten in the Championship, going back to last time?
Start counting them up.
I think they've lost 5
that.
in their last 110, I think it is, in terms of Championship
Well, we've said
games.
it, haven't we? Second, first, second over those 4 seasons. Would you make the Championship MVP, we think, predicted on the left wing in a 4-4-2 as well, Simon? You having that?
I'm not sure on that. I think it might be a case of not top goal scorer. I want to talk about Burnley's front three, really, as well. I thought Brun Larsen was very good. Thought Edwards was good. And then Zian Fleming, of course. 2 goals. And it could have been, 4 or 5?
Do you know what Fleming reminded me of? Do you remember when Smodics top scored under Eustace for Blackburn and he turned up the next season just looking like he was going to score every 5 minutes? So that's what Fleming looked like. He was like, I've done the Championship. I'm better than the Championship. I will score every game. And I may well not be here in 3 weeks.
If you're a Burnley fan, are you like, you could have saved that until September the 1st, mate? Because that is...
We're going to come on in the Wolves game. There are a few players who are going to be in the shop window who played very well this round, Simon. And I think Fleming's probably top of that list, isn't he?
Absolutely. Do you think he stays?
No, I think surely if you're one of those teams in the Premier League looking for an attacker, I know that you've gone out and bought some very fancy ones at Coventry, but somebody has to be looking at Zian Fleming because he's so good and he looks so sharp in this game. But I think as well, the mentals of missing those first 2 chances, he's hit the post, he's had one kicked off the line, not made a great connection with either, still stands up, finds the corner for his penalty, takes that second chance, another scuff, but in the corner. Yeah, I think he's got to go to the Premier League.
Great noise as well, and it was when that Turf Moor was loud when that equaliser went in, weren't they?
Absolutely loved it. So a draw between 2 relegated teams to kick us off. And the other game on Sunday, I loved it, Ollie. Yeah. I absolutely loved it because we didn't know what to expect from Watford. No. And what they did, they were super aggressive, super quick going forward, and a really exciting attack. And they went out and beat Southampton in their own way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the intensity with which they attacked this game was huge. I think it asks the question of whether Spygate is going to shoot Southampton in the back, shall we say, in terms of whether or not it's adding extra motivation for some of these opposition teams. But Watford were outstanding. We know how good that young attack is. They're going to develop game after game almost. You know, we're talking about a profile there. I think it's 21 and 19, is it, Doumbia and Marma? And the way that they can just attack with that sort of youthful exuberance and belief in themselves is so exciting. I think Southampton will look back on, particularly the first goal, obviously, and Stevens didn't cover himself in glory, shall we say, with that attempted back pass.
He still had a lot to do. Bravo, though. He took that really well, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the way that he draws in the defenders, then finds the space to then find that beautiful little finish.
And
he
just
does
to get
so
in
well
front,
with that body
they
shape.
can't cut. It's a dog-so red
nice.
card if they get that wrong then, isn't it?
Yeah, it was such nice play. And I really like Watford, actually. They were so exciting going forwards. I think you expect inconsistency with young players like that, but so exciting. They're going to be great to watch.
And the Afghanistan Amin Nabizadeh as well.
Thank you, Simon. I now don't have to say it.
He was excellent, but his goal was he just kept on running and running and running, and they didn't close him down, and he found the corner with a wonderful finish as well.
You see it now and again where the centre backs travelling and they don't, and he is an unknown quantity. I know,
Where's it gonna be?
I know, and this is not a Spygate joke, but I know every club has every bit of information on every player. But I think centre backs will now know how rapid our Afghanistani 19-year-old Nabizadeh, there we go, got it out in the end, is. Can I play devil's advocate, Simon? Watford scored from a couple of breakaway odd situations with defensive errors. Southampton missed a ton of chances. I'm not now going to sit here and assume that Watford are going to be amazing and Southampton are going to be struggling. That's, we play this game, and we can certainly do it with the West Brom Norwich game later as well. You play that 10 times, how many did they win? What was your take on Mr. Imran Loser sat in the crowd basically saying, I don't think I'm going to be playing today?
Yeah. I don't love it. It's a bit Ben Whiteman, isn't it? But he got his move earlier.
You said, didn't you? A player normally wins in that situation.
A player does normally win in this situation.
Is he good enough for the Premier League, or is he going to go back to the continent?
I think he probably is good enough for the Premier League. The first half of last season, he was good enough for the Premier League. Yes. The second half of last season, probably not. He did tail off a little bit. Is he
scaring people off with the way this is playing out?
Yeah, I think you've got to look at attitude questions, haven't you? I think if you're going to invest in somebody who has that sort of top level of brilliance, but there's a chance that they'll lose motivation, there's a chance that they're going to try and sort of force their own best move, shall we say, I think it will put some teams off. And I think as well for Watford, the worry is what that does to his value. Are they going to be able to get the value that they're going to want? And if not, how do you reintegrate somebody after this move? I don't think you can. I think he will get the move, but it just feels a bit lose-lose, to be honest. I'm not sure anybody works. Oh, lovely. Lovely little bit of word.
Oh, but you set them up for me.
Cipriano and Harwood Bellis at the end. You like that? Flynn Downs and Marma is a bit spicy, wasn't it?
The whole game was spot. Was it 4 yellows in the first 20 minutes?
That's not going to happen to Southampton every week, is it, surely?
I mean, Cipriano, though, just a moment, because it was beautiful, wasn't it? I mean, he was straight into Stevens after that first goal, straight into Harwood Bellis at the end. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with the motivation other teams are going to have for taking on the pantomime villains. Harwood Bellis, there's a lot of rumours about that transfer, whether or not there's money on the table. I wonder if...
Burnley?
Benfica, I think, talking about him going over to Portugal on the continent there.
Two very similar clubs there, Benfica and Burnley.
They begin with B, you know what I mean? You can basically interchange them, but I think that'd be a really interesting move. And actually for Southampton, would it remove some of that pantomime villain element, given what he did in the playoffs last year? He's a big loss as a player, but they're talking 20-30 million quid. I think it might be worth dealing.
Yeah, get rid on that one, I would say. I think you make an important point, just to quickly touch on. Spygate was so big, the biggest story we've ever seen. We definitely saw motivation. We saw Harry the Hornet spine at the time to fans. We are going to see that run on and on and on. I don't think it's going anywhere, Ben. How much of a negative is that against Southampton? Their players, their squad would much rather that wasn't going on in the background.
It's not going to be relevant if they just win football matches. There's almost an argument. I mean, look, in our job, we're kind of bored with it now, do you know what I mean? And I'm sure the Southampton fans are bored of us talking about it. But Simon, while that minus is there, it's still relevant because that's a consequence of the... I would like to think we'd be moving on from it soon enough. And I do think Tonda was very pleased to just be doing an interview talking about the game, but I'm sure he'd like to be talking about a 3-pointer next week rather than what he got this week.
Absolutely. One of the standout results, standout games, standout talking points. Norwich 1, West Brom 2 at Carrow Road. If you were looking close enough, you might have seen Eggerbo handball it into the net.
He did what?
I can't believe it either.
I didn't see it, Simon. No, of course. And obviously that is immediately where your mind goes when you look at this game of football. But I think actually, if you broaden that out a little bit and you look at the 90 minutes, it's the first game of the season. Norwich will be really pleased with how they attacked that first 70 minutes of this game.
Agreed.
They were dominant. They were well on top. They really should have scored 1, if not 2 in the first half. They missed so many chances to make that completely irrelevant. You know, you're not at risk of those kind of things happening. And so they'll be really pleased with how they attacked this game, if disappointed with the finishing. But I think there's something about the resilience of West Brom. You know, the West Brom team we saw last season, let's just remember what they did for the first 6-7 months of this season, when they would have turned up to this game and they wouldn't have been able to sort of withstand.
They'd have been done by
pressure.
half time.
They'd have been well out of it. Every chance they'd have conceded 3-4 and capitulated. So Morrison should take so much pride in what his team did to stand up, to ride the wave. And yes, they get a little bit of luck. You can say it's whatever you want to say about it in terms of the refereeing decision, but they did so well to ride that. And I think it's a real testament to how much they've come on and what he's done since coming in as the caretaker at the end of last year.
I think there were 2 standout performances. I think Max O'Leary, obviously the West Brom keeper, was superb. Nat Phillips, very good as well. I think Max O'Leary made 6 saves from inside the box. I think there was a bit of wasteful finishing from Mo Torre, someone who we all thought would perform well. Norwich, interestingly, were having to play Paris Magoma on the left wing. I know they're trying to find a replacement there in terms of an actual out-and-out winger because Ali Ahmed's injured, but still, I think you look at this game and people will want to make their own conclusions. West Brom are going to be amazing, as you say. Norwich aren't going to be very good. I think we step back and look at what actually happened in this home game. I think you can still be pretty confident as a Norwich fan from what you saw.
I agree. And, I mean, we mentioned it about Southampton, and you talk about what are the West Ham fans and the Wolves fans going to be thinking in terms of how their teams played and what they output, despite both getting 2-2 draws this round. I think if you're a Norwich or a Southampton fan, frustrated, especially from Norwich's. With Southampton, it was mistakes. From Norwich's point of view, yes, you can make the argument the game should be done, but I can give the referee some. If you're just at the wrong angle and it flashes across, how's the linesman not seeing that, Simon?
With the bigger when the players that appeal like that, you know something's gone on. I know footballers can be deceiving and the like, but when it's that obvious, something has happened.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, it's a big slice of bad luck, and if you're a Norwich fan, if you believe in the it evens itself out, well, maybe Norwich will do some good luck next week.
Dare I mention the 3 letters of VAR in the Championship?
If only we had a way.
QPR, top of the league, I think they are, Ollie.
Up the arse.
Right now, up the arse. We were all kind of excited about QPR because of this squad they've put together.
Yep.
Obviously, injuries played a
Simon,
massive factor.
first 11.
First 11, that's very true.
Not depth,
That is very true. But when Elias Chair's back to his best scoring goals, what a kit, by the way, QPR have. That all-black kit, super. Pierce Charles, amazing. So many positives for QPR.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really pleased that they're starting this season well, because in pre-season I was really enjoying the business that they were doing. I felt as though they were identifying the weaknesses in their squad from last year. We knew they had a strong attack. We know that they've got the players there who are going to create chances, score goals, but it felt as though there was a weakness for them defensively. They wanted an upgrade on the goalkeeper. They wanted an upgrade on the fullbacks. They've gone out to get that. It's a real shame that Boyd Kemper's gone off injured. You know, we don't know
Did he get hurt?
what that's going to look like. He went off just 20 minutes in, and I was really excited, actually. He's got such a nice profile, defensively solid, really exciting going forward. So it's a real shame we're maybe not going to see the best of him for another couple of weeks yet. But yeah, I mean, Pierce Charles, that passing range that he's got is legitimately so impressive to watch, and I've never given him any credit before, not for any personal reasons, but it's so impressive to see the way that he can actually just break the line so quickly, and
Ollie,
he can get you straight out of the press.
I think it's easy to, and you're totally right, it's easy to get drawn into when a keeper like that pings it, but the intangible is the confidence that knowing a keeper is
Believe in him.
Just generally in play when you're building up, knowing that he's going to find his target, that the centre back is not scared to move out here and start the attack.
Talk about the strength, though, actually, not just in Charles, but in Stefan as well, because obviously last week it's an absolute horror show from Charles for the goal that's cost him in the cup. really he's come out, gone for the catch, dropped it. They've got Cam Ward, a really experienced number one, sat there sort of waiting for his opportunity. He could very easily have made that change. I think sticking with the young goalkeeper, knowing what his talent is, hopefully that is going to be rewarded. It's got to be great for his sort of belief in himself, his confidence that he's going to stick to being the number one, and he gets over that mistake so quickly. I think it is worth, obviously, just recognising how good the goal is from Terry Devlin, because what a strike that was.
That was one, Simon, where I looked at it and I'm like, keeper, and then they had the camera angle from behind him.
Such a good goal.
But Simon, I was expecting 4-4-2 from Stefan and Kone and Romain Borrell up front. And
Kone didn't even get on, I don't think.
No, I had a conversation with Sam Parkin about Ilias Chair, and it's like, are we moving away from him in the 10? No. 2 goals and an assist.
The poacher finishing, though, from Ilias Chair as well. Both of those finishers getting in the box, right in the centre, finding really easy finishes as it worked out in the end. I think that is something about his movement that could be really exciting if they're going to be continuing to build that and he's playing off the striker. I thought it was really nice to see somebody just taking those chances. It wasn't vintage Chair beating a man, smacking it in from distance. It was all about seeing the movement.
Number 10 can be a second striker, can't they? It's not all about, creating stuff from from those little pockets.
You look at Kokusaito, you look at Chair, you look at Poku, you look at Burrell, even Kone, as we say, pretty good going forward, isn't it? If they are all fit and they're all flying. I know they've beaten a Portsmouth side we kind of expected to struggle.
And Simon, they were so erratic last year, QPR.
I know they were. And this is obviously Mbengue at right back did well and not Lamptey playing yet. Yeah. So a few interesting options for QPR, definitely worth.
Well, should we just celebrate it? Because last season, every week we came in here, either Coventry or Middlesbrough were top of the league. And okay, we've got Stoke for 1 week in August or something. Let's enjoy a bit of variety at the top of the table. So well done, QPR.
Up the R's indeed. Bristol, a team that finished third last season, got off to a winning start. Millwall benefited here, Ollie, from a red card to Randall. Second yellow for a pull, it seemed. Do you think it's a bit soft?
I mean,
it's a yellow card.
It's a yellow card at the end of the day. If you're already booked, making that decision to go and do that, even if you feel as though it's harsh, you feel as though it's minor contact, why would you do it on a yellow card? It just feels like a really poor decision, and it ruins the game for me. I'm really high on Bristol City this season. I love the business that they've done. I like the fact that they've gone out and recruited a really exciting young manager.
Is that why it ruined the game for you?
And it ruined the game because I believed in them. I've gone big on them. I thought, they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be so great. And then, it took all of my exuberance away. But I don't think that should take away, obviously, from Millwall. Josh Coburn coming straight back in, attacking the season. Has he bulked up this summer? I think he looks... I know he's always been strong, but he looks massive.
Man, didn't he? Proper target man.
I cannot believe the size of the man. I think he's really enjoyed his summer, making sure he's ready.
His physicality, it was his finishing I was sort of concerned about. This is difficult though, guys, because the red card makes it very hard for us to analyse how good Millwall are, and obviously you have a team that what are we 18 months, 2 years into this Millwall this cycle, and if I am a Bristol City fan, I'm now looking at next week going, okay, 2 games, 2 home games, defeats, no goals in either. And it's easy to sit here, on a Monday. He made 2 big striker signings, but do you just go a bit more conservative with 10 men and take one of the strikers out?
I think that was the difficulty, though, wasn't it? That Millwall scored straight after that red card. They didn't have time to really adapt. I think you are looking at that in-game management. You're thinking, actually, how do you adapt to the 10 men? What do you expect from this exciting young manager coming out of League One? Is he going to be able to sort of really control that game for them? Just ride out this, maybe try and get the 0-0. But Millwall scored so fast, it almost disrupts anything he was thinking about doing to try and organise that game. So I have some sympathy. I think it's a real shame because I would have liked to see how this plays out 11 on 11, because the 2 teams I really like and I really fancy them in that top 8 race, really trying to get themselves towards the top end of this division. And ultimately it was pretty comfortable for Millwall in the end.
I haven't seen the extent of it, but Femi Aziz coming off after half an hour injured as well. Is that a positive maybe for Millwall keeping hold of him? It's hard to say.
Simon, the first thing I think is, are we in a position with a very high saleable asset where if you're taking any chances where he doesn't get substituted, maybe if it's round 40 rather than round 1 and the window's still open. But we keep doing this with Potnik, with Aziz. We've sat here and they are still at their clubs.
We were going to have a conversation about transfers in the Championship on this show, but at the moment it is staying put. Everyone's where they are at the moment.
Yeah, nobody's lost any of the best players.
That will change.
Come back next week when we'll be talking about some big Championship
Don't worry about that.
exits. Wanted to talk about Swansea as well. I'm a bit concerned about Stoke, Ollie. I said Mark Robbins is going to be under pressure because they've spent a bit of money early on. And we saw Ben's dark horse, credit to him, come out, play really well, win the game. But yeah, I'm worried about Stoke if they don't have a good start to the season.
Yeah, Stoke, they do this to me every time.
Did you get on board?
I got on board. I found myself just shouting Ethan Galbraith and getting excited. And, immediately his old club come, they turn up. And I thought, actually, Opoku down that right wing was so exciting for Swansea. I think their wingers were outstanding, but Opoku in particular, obviously, he catches the eye with a goal.
21.
I know. We're seeing so many young attackers in the Championship this season. It feels like we are going to be a league of exciting, young, attacking talents, and we're going to really enjoy watching most teams because everybody seems to have got one of these young stars. We talk there about whether or not they're going to lose Vipotnik. I've been excited about Stewart coming in, but Ida, first touch off the bench, straight in, gets his season up and going. So there's lots to like.
Striker depth, it's remarkable for
it's
Swansea.
good.
It is really, really good. Yeo as well on the left wing. You mentioned exciting wingers. They've got two wingers there to run out defenders, take it to them. Stoke a little bit underwhelming. It was a good finish, by the way, for their goal. Was it Rigo scored? Enough the bar, nice finish. But apart from that, it was a bit...
I'll bow to your superior knowledge when it comes to Mark Robbins.
I am incredibly biased and can't view him with any sort of impartiality.
Let me make the point I was going to make, that Mark's whole thing is very calm and almost a bit dour. And when you're winning, it's kind of cool. It's like, look, he's keeping everyone's feet on the ground. When you've put 18th place out in your first half season and 17th, and what Mark did at Coventry, you'll know better than anyone, was genius, is exceptional. But 17th last season and round one, I'm hearing about booing in the stands, and Mark comes out and says, we need to win more duels, we need to run around more. And it's like, you need to inspire fans, you need to inspire players. And did I notice that Schmidt, who they dropped 5 million on, has now been loaned out? So that's a tacit confession that you've messed up the recruitment in terms of attacking. And then you start to look as the window runs down, as will West Ham come back for Sorba Thomas? And I don't know.
There's something in that, isn't there?
There's something at Stoke where you're only ever a couple of games from a crisis, and it feels like we've done one game, and it does feel a bit down, doesn't it?
Oh, I think they were like the 22nd worst team from November. Remember they were second in the league.
They were flying.
Coventry back in November, and since then it's been really poor. But I look at
that down to the keeper, being out injured.
Yeah, probably. You look at the keeper, one of the best keepers in the Championship. You look at the midfield of Manhoff, Galbraith, Ingleson, even Thomas. That's a decent midfield four.
Well, they lost.
They lost, exactly. And I think there still is the thing where Robbins did so well at Coventry. Robbins did it with Adi Varvash.
Yeah.
They were the duo. They dragged the club up. Without him,
he also did it with Gus Harmer and Victor Gyökeres.
In the Champ, yeah. League 2, League 1, slightly different. But I think you look at that relationship breaking down and you wonder whether that was just, it worked so well together, and he is yet to do it at Stoke on his own. So worth keeping an eye on. I really hope he turns it around and it goes well for him. Talking of turning it round, Borough 2, Lincoln 1. William Lancashire came up with the goals.
Of course
he was my pick to be top goal scorer, but he was superb. But I think we need to give praise to Lincoln because the way they attacked that opening half of the game, I thought they were excellent.
I thought they were outstanding as well. They're a team who, and put my hands up, a lot of people have written off this season. I think a lot of people have sort of gone for the easy bet. They're probably going to come 24th. Lost the manager, lost one of the key players, obviously, moving across to Cardiff. And so I think them coming out and really putting in a bit of a statement in that sort of first half to say, no, we are a team. We know what we're doing. We're still organised. We've got the consistency from last season in terms of keeping the managers. And so I do really like what they were doing.
This could be the hardest fixture as well. If Middlesbrough are as good as people are saying, then they could have just played one of the hardest games in round one as well.
I tell you what as well, though, for an hour I thought it was going to be vintage Middlesbrough, didn't you? In terms of that kind of, we're all excited.
Not with Mr. Lancashire around.
That's the thing. They've signed the thing to fix their problems, haven't they, Ben?
It shouldn't be that straightforward, should it?
It don't feel fair.
We say it in all the well, when we get in here in January, it's like we just get a striker in to score you the goals to get you over the line. But yeah, something is is a bubbling, and now they've done Phillips as well to replace Fry at the back. And I mean, we rinse repeat. We said every week, if they can execute in goal and they put Vitek in there and Lankshear's in it, it can't be that straightforward as just add a keeper and a striker to that team and they'll score 95 points.
It can.
It can.
But yeah, great start. And we haven't been mentioning McGree. He goes in and out injured, doesn't he? But he's a player that makes a difference on his day as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think Phillips will come in to start alongside Melander and ALB Ayling coming out, because Ayling is pretty popular there, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think so.
I do. Yeah, and he's signed on a perm as well, hasn't he, Phillips? So it's quite the signing when you think what Spurs spent to kind of take him out of the Championship. And he's played a hell of a lot of games, extraordinary amount for his age, good amount for any age. But Kim Hellberg flat batted that about Melander being a midfielder. No, he's going to be a centre back.
Yep, Wolves 2, Blackburn 2, Ollie. Friday night kicked the season off. Should we talk about the penalty again?
Yeah, I suppose we have to jump in, don't we? And it's always the first one. What I will say, and I'll probably get slated for this, I actually really like the bravery of the ref there. I think if I was looking at it, we've not seen a definitive angle. Nobody can say 100% either way. But to me, it looked as though he's got his arm out from his body, obvious handball, but he was leaning backwards over the line into the box. It looked as though he might have got this one right. And I think it's a real brave call to do that when it is so close on the fine margins. And I think it was harsh on Blackburn. I think both can be true. You say it's really harsh on Blackburn. Albiosu had such a good game. I was so excited by him, particularly driving forwards. Down that right-hand side, Blackburn looks so strong in terms of getting balls into the box. Chance creation. It's a shame it's him with his arm sticking out and dangling. Yeah, it felt like the right decision, but it felt harsh on Blackburn. And Wolves probably will say they've got away with one a little bit.
I think that's the case. They got them out of a bit of a hole they'd found themselves in. But this is massive praise for Blackburn and what we saw from their performance, Ben.
Yeah. So when Good Johnson put them 2-1 up, I'm like, why didn't I? Come on, I've been covering the Championship long enough. Of course Blackburn are 2-1 up at Wolves on opening day. But yeah, I mean, on the penalty, it's very boring to say. It is binary. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
Joby said it on the TV. It's definitely handball. And, whether it feels unfair and happening to an underdog late in a game in an ex-Premier League team stadium, it's either just inside or just outside. What you make of Wolves, Simon? Some very talented... Mane, love it. Fer Lopez, love it. Rodrigo Gomez, Andre. But I saw one team on that pitch who looked rehearsed with a nice pattern of play. And I thought Peixoto was right, that they played emotionally and they chased around and individuals tried to win it. And yeah, they... You just said, Ollie, they kind of got away with one, didn't they?
Looked like a team of individuals, and obviously this is a bit of a new team. I guess quite a few of them were actually there last season. But you're trying to put a new system and way of dominating games into place. I was a bit worried about how open they looked when Blackburn countered. I didn't expect them to be so... The spaces in there were just huge for the likes of Cantwell and Good Johnson to run into.
The likes of Mane and Lopez and
even Armstrong up front.
Gomez and then Armstrong ends up on the left wing, and I'm like,
Jimenez
we've seen
up front,
Will Still has seen this movie before, hasn't he? By the way, if you do knit those players together, good night everybody else. But do you need a gnarly 35-year-old Championship player? I mean,
do you need two of them?
No, but Trippier they've got in there and Jimenez, I guess, to do that. But yeah, is there a bit of a sense that might take a bit of skillful management to knit that all together?
I think so. I think this looked like an easy game on paper, with all respect to Blackburn, a home game Friday night, and you think, get off to a winning start. It hasn't happened. I'll get Wolves fixtures up, but I just think if they can, they've got Preston away next weekend, so you'd think again that's the game they should be going and winning. If we're talking about this next week, Ben, and they still haven't won, we can maybe think again what it needs to do. But
it's just questions, isn't it, about that, particularly their structure against the low block and really trying to break teams down as they're trying to come forward.
Blackburn didn't sit in though, did they?
They sat deep enough after going 2-1 up, I think, in terms of Wolves then were just playing in front of them. They weren't able to really organise themselves.
Aitchison, if he plays the whole season like that, it's going to be worth a lot of money.
Yes,
19.
Incredible. What great age as well. Ben, quickly, Bolton 2, Preston 1, mate.
Oh, you're going to producer Harvey, where he wanted to speak our Bolton season.
You can hear him cheering in the background.
I mean, what a start by Bolton for that first 20 minutes. If I'm a Preston fan, I am annoyed that, who's turning up for a local derby and we're kind of laying down. But that should have gone 2-2 at the end with Mike squaring it and then Lindsay's. It's a weird one because on the one hand, Bolton can say they definitely deserve to win because they blew them away. But Preston can come away and say that could have been a 2-2. But fair play, we criticised the higher-ups and the Hemmings family. Clark, I think they've spent a couple of 3 million. Jury's out about his level. Ipswich fan, Sheffield United fan, we've both seen him. And the central midfielder, Leroy, I assume, and Hecky was quite honest about it, that they did the budgets and they didn't realise Ben Whiteman was going to be sold and there was some money to spend on him. But I'm burying the lead here. Brilliant return from Bolton.
Absolutely. And also a big home win for Charlton against kind of a Derby were fancied and they were expected to be in the playoff mix. But I look at Nathan Jones, I look at Charlton. I think they're really quite good at what they do, and you know what you're going to get, and they're going to try and pick up points at home, and I think they're probably going to stay in the division, Ollie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm backing them to stay in the division, and I think this showed exactly why, because it's that resilience. They've gone behind. He's made a couple of changes, and almost they've immediately hit. Miles Leeburn had a huge impact on this game, the way he's come into this game.
He's so big.
How do you stop him? But I think you've got to talk about what a fantastic week Charlton have actually had. They win in the Cup after everyone's had a little bit of a down on them. They're a bit worried about how they're going to do. Lloyd Jones signs a new contract, then scores the equaliser. Tyrese Campbell scores the winner. It's now rumoured he's about to sign a new contract after rumours all summer that he's leaving. They've had a fantastic week that sets them up perfectly for the season in front of them. For Derby, they're both a fancied team and an unfancied team. I think everyone goes, well, John Eustace in this Derby team could really upset everybody. But actually, what does that mean in
Smodix
practice?
Looks at it.
It's, Yeah, he does. And I think I'm excited to see what Derby become. But I actually thought the in-game management of this one seemed to fall apart a little bit. They didn't react to what Charlton had done in their changes. When Leeburn came on, they never really looked at, well, how are we going to deal with that threat? How are we actually going to adapt ourselves to make sure we do keep a foothold in this game? So, yeah, an interesting one, but good result for Charlton and the end of a great week.
And just really quickly, Simon, sorry. Nathan gets a lot of criticism. Skyscrapers, 3 at the back, going to a 5-4-1. There's a 4-2-3-1, so maybe a little second season evolution as well at the Valley.
And there's only one game we haven't talked about, and it's not just because Ollie's on the show. I'll let you each have 10 seconds on Sheffield United 0, Birmingham 0. Go on, Ollie.
Oh, it's barely worth talking about, is it? A complete lack of any kind of attacking quality. Two teams who were happy to take the point. United could not afford to start as badly as we did last year. I think Wilder was happy to just get over to 1 point, keep a clean sheet, move on. Birmingham, I think they conceded first in 17 or 23 away games last season, so they just wanted to get through that, get to 0-0, and then both teams will say, it's a start, we've got to be better from here.
If Birmingham draw their away games and replicate their home form from last season, then they'll be in the playoffs.
They'll be well up the table, won't they? Yeah, I've got nothing to add from what Ollie said on that.
We are going to do our prediction league and look ahead to next weekend. Ollie is kindly taking over from Conor McGilligan this week, and you'll be pleased to know that Conor got 0 points last week, so you can only get better. We all predicted Wolves to beat Blackburn.
Sorry, do you not want to bury Conor a little bit more while he's not here?
Well, we all said Wolves would beat Blackburn, and they didn't. Bolton, Preston. I actually said 1-0 Bolton, even though I think they'll finish bottom, so I got a point for that. Ben, you called a draw in Sheffield United, Birmingham. You said 2-2, it was 0-0, so you get a point for that. So it's
correct.
1 point for me, 1 point for you, 0 points for Conor. Ollie's going to improve here. Callum also had a stinker, by the way. I'll just throw that out there. The games we are looking forward to this weekend, Millwall versus Norwich. Ollie, this feels like one hell of a game. Probably the game of the weekend. We're excited for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. This should be a fantastic game of football. Obviously, we talked about Millwall and Norwich earlier. Norwich, great for 70 minutes and then get that sort of sucker punch. Millwall, hard to judge, really, playing against 10 men, but did so really effectively. Great striker in terms of Coburn, starting the season really well. Difficult one. I like Millwall at home, though. It makes it a really difficult start to the season for Norwich now that they weren't able to get a positive result last week. I'm going to back the draw. I think both teams will score. I'm going to go 1-1.
I am slightly concerned about Millwall's right-hand side. Leonard did pretty well at right-back, but he's not Kramer, is he? And he is out for a few weeks. If Aziz isn't going to be risked as well, I just look at that side. Norwich obviously needs to try and take advantage of that by signing a left winger and doing something there. They can't miss as many chances as they did again.
They've got to take
They're not going to be this season's Middlesbrough, please no. I'm going to go for a Norwich win. I'm going to go for Millwall 1, Norwich 2, Ben.
I feel like I should back Millwall, but I don't think anyone had Norwich losing their first 2 games, did they? I think.
How much do you take from that first game in terms of a result, though, and how much do you look at the performance?
Well,
and
yeah.
what you thought, what you thought before the season as well.
Well, what I thought before the season was what I saw, a good performance where they controlled a lot of the game and made lots of chances and had a bit of bad luck. Let's go for a silly one then. I'll go for a 3-3 draw.
Come on,
Oh, that's what we
Can I
want
have
to
a
see.
bonus point for that?
of course you can. If that happens,
you.
you can have a bonus point, bit of excitement. Come to you for Lincoln versus Portsmouth, first Championship game back at Sincil Bank. Quite an occasion, this one. 2 teams we expect to maybe be in the bottom 6, so could have a big impact come the end of the season. Do you fancy Lincoln to get up to
go
home
on.
win? Yeah.
Why not? Hey, why not? We saw it from Bolton, didn't we, in the first home game that there isn't. We haven't seen Cardiff, but we're expecting a very noisy Cardiff City Stadium, and we could be talking about the League One teams coming up and nailing it at home. So yeah, let's go for Lincoln to be nice and direct and horrible in the best way possible, and to win. We've got both teams to score as well. Let's go 2-1 Imps.
Similar vibes for me. I worry about this start for Portsmouth. They do sometimes seem to go on these losing runs and then bring it back. I'm going to go 1-0 Lincoln, Ollie.
Yeah, I was going 1-0 Lincoln as well. I think
all
you've got to
backing
back them at
Lincoln?
home. Yeah, I
Wow.
think Sincil
Portsmouth
Bank-
fans are laughing in the comments. Away win incoming, yeah.
Well, given how we did with Wolves, you probably
go.
are right. Yeah, sorry, Ollie, don't interrupt you there.
No, absolutely. I just think it's that Sincil Bank factor. We saw how effective they were that first hour, particularly against Borough, until the sort of energy ran out a little bit. I think with the extra momentum you get at home, the noise from the crowd, that'll really push them on. I think you've got to back them at home, particularly given that over 2 seasons now, Portsmouth's away record in the Championship hasn't been the strongest, shall we say. So yeah, I like Lincoln for this.
And they're going to take a lot of confidence from that first half performance, especially at Middlesbrough. This is a cracker as well. I think this is the Sunday game, by the way. West Brom versus Burnley. West Brom starting with a win, Burnley with a good comeback to get a point. Ben, are you flipping a coin on this one?
I just want to say that the Richard Chaplow derby, and just to get a very niche Championship mention in there. Look, we're talking about a West Brom side that were resilient but didn't play great and won, versus a Burnley side that we think played pretty well and didn't win, which in football logic, you can see where I'm going with this, which is never a good thing, leads me towards Burnley. Maybe Mr. Fleming will still be there and sign off. So I'll take the away win. They were quite front-footed, weren't they?
They were.
I'll take them 2-1. Maybe Morgan will score again. 2-1 Burnley.
Yeah, we didn't give him a mention, actually. Thought he looked very bright, and that was a very good goal from Jimmy J. Morgan. Yeah, I might back him. I'm going to go for a draw and sit on the fence. I'm going for a 1-1.
Get in there.
Taking Ben's role of sitting on the fence, actually.
Stop it.
Sweet.
It's ridiculous.
We might be 3 out of 3 for the Jimmy J. Morgan goal. I think I really like what West Brom have done. I really like the way that Morrison has organised them since coming back in. I think Burnley, whilst they did look great going forwards, chance creation looked really strong. The weakness for me on set pieces in particular, the first one is just so easy in terms of the header. The second is a recycled set piece where obviously it's fantastic play from Kone, but they should have been defending better. So I'm backing goals. I'm going to go on West Brom. I'm going to say 3-2 West Brom.
Wow. That comes in. Connor will be a happy man for taking over for you. I'll give you a bonus point for that one as well. We are, by the way, every week picking out a goal scorer each to put into a treble, which you can find on Betfred. I'll keep you updated with how we got on last weekend. Callum said Adam Armstrong would score for Wolves versus Blackburn. He didn't. Ben said Don Ballard would score for Bristol City versus Millwall. He didn't.
They were down to 10 men after 36 minutes. That is a mitigating factor. Give him the service, he will score.
I said August Priss would score versus Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Somehow, Sheffield United kept a clean sheet. He didn't score. And Connor said Motoro would score for Norwich against West Brom. And somehow, he didn't score either. So it was 0 for 4 for last week's goal scorers pick. We're going to come up and do better this week, guys. Ollie, who are you looking at?
I'm having Ilias Chair. Obviously started the season really well. I'm looking at Bolton. I believe they gave up 24 touches in the box.
Don't go down this road again. You'll come a cropper.
It's dangerous. But Bolton gave up 24 touches in the box against a Preston side who obviously we have our question marks over. I think QPR are better than that. I've talked already about Chair looking to play that poacher role, backing up the striker, getting in and around the box for those easy, quick finishes. So I just think that feels like a nice balance. So I think Chair to pick up from inside the box, poacher's goal. He's my goal scorer.
Very nice. I nearly picked him last week. I'm not going to stray away from him this week. I think we'll start to see him become a short price for the Golden Boot and score every week. very safe. Will Lancashire away at Blackburn Rovers. I think he is the most obvious pick. Now, I promise not to pick him every week. Ben, sorry I've taken an obvious pick.
Help me out again. I want this kid to be a star. Amin Nabizada.
Come on.
Should we go
come on.
back-to-back goals? I've just realised they're going away to Wrexham, who are a good defensive side. But wouldn't it be great if Watford didn't have to worry about Imran Loser because they next run off the production line, eh?
That would be superb. You can find that treble on Betfred. We'll get that priced up for you.
Oh, it's a treble. Have I just ruined it for you?
No. You've made it
You
more
boosted
interesting.
the odds.
I've definitely done that, yeah.
Absolutely. And then we've got Cardiff Wrexham tonight as well. Quick word on that as well, guys. Do you want to finish on that?
I think I could get egg on my face. I like Cardiff. I like Cardiff for it. Yeah, there's just something about, like we said, about the League One sides coming up and the home advantage. But yeah, great to see Bolton Stadium full, and it looks like we'll see Cardiff Stadium full. Some clubs that have, Bolton specifically, but fallen on tough times, periods in League One, but great to have them back in the Championship.
Absolutely. If you are a Cardiff or a Wrexham fan, make sure you tune in next week and we'll be able to talk about your teams in full. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. A fantastic Championship opening weekend. So many shocks, so much drama. Please do make sure you like and subscribe because we'll be back on Monday for the next episode of the Sportsman Untitled in association with Betfred.